Got a loaded show for you, WHO DAT Nation. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday and a happy holiday. In today's video, we're going to be discussing these two topics. And the first one, is Rashid Shaheed set for a breakout season? I think that he might be, and CBS Sports actually spoke about it as well. And on top of that, let's discuss signing free agent Yannick Ngakoue, who we haven't talked about in quite some time, and I think he could be a good impact player on the Saints defense. But before we get into all of this and then some more, Falcons Today by Chat Sports, they got 239 comments on a single video. So let's beat them in today's video. Type WHO DAT in the comment section so we can bury our baby brothers not only on the field, but also in the walls here at Chat Sports. So type WHO DAT if you love the Saints and you absolutely hate the Falcons. So the first things first here, please do not let Rashid Shaheed leave. I want Rashid Shaheed to stick around with the New Orleans Saints for quite some time. I think he's a really, really athletic player. I think he's really electric. And on top of that, he is a guy that offers so much playmaking ability to your offense, and he's such an explosive weapon. And so I wanted to kind of kick it over to CBS here to kind of discuss what they had to say in this article. They were discussing players that are set for a breakout season because they're on a contract year. So they said Shaheed is technically an impending restricted free agent, but every once in a while, a restricted free agent gets signed to offer sheet by other teams and moves locals when the original team doesn't match. That very well could be Shaheed after the 2024 season. I do not want to see number 22 leave because I think he's a really nice compliment to Chris Olave, and I think that he adds that element of being able to take the top off of the field and just say, go. Every time somebody talks about Rashid Shaheed, I just go back to the week 1 clip that we saw Shaheed freaking run. And then Derek Carr saying, send Shaheed on a go. And Jameis Winston saying, yeah, do that. It works. Shaheed is a great player, and I absolutely love number 22. And he's honestly one of my favorite young players on the team. So CBS continued to say a regular next-gen stats, fastest ball carrier metric, routinely topping over 21 miles per hour, and boastfully carrying a hefty 16.3 yards per snag into 2024 after his first 2 seasons in the NFL. And I do believe that Rashid, the need for speed, Shaheed, is lightning in a bottle. At any given time, at any moment, in any game, he is set and he has the ability to make a play and to take the ball to the house and to just absolutely light up the field. Literally anytime the ball is in his hands, you could almost bank Shaheed has the opportunity to make it. He could turn any opportunity into a big-time gain. And I love that about him, and I think that he is a guy that is only going to get better as he continues to develop. So back to CBS Sports, he's been incredibly efficient catching his targets despite a lengthy average depth of target of 14.1 yards, which was the 15th highest among all qualifying receivers in 2023. He's caught nearly 68% of his targets to date, and his 5 touchdowns on deep targets ranked 3rd in the NFL behind only Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans last season. Now, I have really high hopes for year 3 for Rashid Shaheed. Again, this is a guy that really didn't get much run until, later in his rookie season. And then in year 2, we really saw him take some steps. And in year 3, I think he has the ability to really pop off and turn into a big-time playmaker. And I think that maybe even he's a guy who could eclipse over 800, maybe 900, close to even 1,000 yards this season, just purely based on his playmaking ability. And I think he's going to have a much bigger role in year 3. Now, the production for Rashid Shaheed in his first 2 seasons has been really, really good so far. And in terms of his 2022 receiving numbers, it was pretty solid. 28 receptions on 34 targets, almost 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did also rush for a touchdown against the Bengals and added a handful of about 80 rushing yards over his career as well. His kick return yards in 2022 were pretty solid. His 2022 punt return yards were nice. But then you saw the growth in year 2 for Shaheed. His numbers in terms of the targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns are all up. His kick returns are up. The return yards are up. The touchdowns stayed the same, but he did return a punt for a touchdown and was voted as a Pro Bowler as a punt returner for the NFC. Now, I think that Rashid Shaheed has a lot to prove this season, and I think that around 1,000 yards. It's going to be a lofty goal for him, but who says that he can't do it? So what do you think? Will Shaheed have more or less than 1,000 yards in 2024? Just share your thoughts by typing more or less down in the comment section. I can't wait to see what you guys got to say. So what's next? Well, let's talk about Yannick Ngakoue because he's still available as a free agent. So let's discuss whether or not New Orleans should sign him. Now, he spent some time kind of all over the place in the NFL, and most recently with the Chicago Bears, as well as the Indianapolis Colts. And he is a player that last season you really, wish that he stayed healthy because he was actually on a pretty nice pace and on a pretty nice path again to have more than 8 sacks this season. But in Week 13, he broke his ankle with the Chicago Bears. Now, New Orleans last season was tied for 28th in sack production with 34 total sacks, and they were in the bottom 3 in terms of sack percentage and bottom 3 in terms of sacks per game. I mean, it was really, really bad. But Yannick Ngakoue, he's a player who's had 8 sacks each season since 2016, or from 2016 to 2022, and he would have kept that streak alive possibly had he stayed healthy throughout the whole entire regular season. Now, I think that the Saints defensive line depth chart definitely got a facelift this year. I really like the idea of having Carl Granderson just cut it loose and have some fun. Chase Young, I think, has the ability to be a big-time playmaker, and I think Cam Jordan still has a really nice role on this defense. And on top of that, Isaiah Foskey, maybe he has a big year too. Maybe Peyton Turner finally turns into the guy that we've all wanted him to turn into. And hey, Bryan Bresee year 2 is going to be absolutely electric, especially considering Bresee was number 3 in sack production for New Orleans. Last year, here's how the sack production kind of panned out. Demario Davis as a linebacker was number 2 in sack production. I mean, that's if that was the case, wow. But the fact that 6.5 sacks was number 2 for the New Orleans Saints last year isn't going to sit right with me. And if you have a guy who gets at least 8 sacks a season, I mean, that's pretty damn solid. And you can look at his numbers. He's not somebody who's going to get you a ton of tackles. He's not going to stop the run a ton. He's not going to be getting you, reliable. He's not going to give you reliable downs every single drive. However, I think that you can be really smart and use him situationally and use him as, a sack artist and as a pass rush specialist because that's what he is. And I'm still a big-time believer in Carl Granderson. I think that his development over his first handful of seasons with the Saints has been really, really nice. Every single year, he gets better, and every single year, he's building on what he had in the year prior. And I do think that Cam Jordan, like I said, there's still a role there, but it's time for Carl Granderson to take over as the star defensive end alongside Chase Young. Obviously, Chase Young has the pedigree and has the resume to be a star player. However, can he stay healthy? Can he get the production? Can we do that? And that's why I'm curious, should we go and sign Yannick Ngakoue? Because I think that the Saints could use him as a pass rush specialist. You don't need to have him on the field for 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You don't need to have him on the field for 1st and goal at the 1. But when you need to go and get a sack, when you need to find yourself in a position to not stop the run, or when you need to put pressure on the quarterback, I think Yannick Ngakoue could be that guy. He's an experienced player. He's a smart player, and I think that he could be really impactful for the black and gold. Now, what say you? Would you bring Ngakoue to NOLA? Just give me a simple sign or a simple pass in the comment section if you would sign the veteran free agent edge rusher to bring him to New Orleans. Now, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. If you haven't already, hit me up on social media at TraceGirouard48_ on Instagram and at TraceGirouard48 on X, also known as Twitter, whatever you want to call it, the Elon Musk app. You can give me a follow there. I've been trying to up my social media game, and I've been posting a lot of coverage on those platforms, so feel free to give me a follow there. And one more friendly reminder. If you made it to the end of the video, we're doing something right. So type WHO DAT and let's beat Falcons today in our comments battle. And y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.